everyone. We're ready to get started. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kim Jokisch, and my co-presenter, Linda Descano, and I are here to talk to you about modern marketing and recruitment and some best practices that you can all take back with you to your own organizations. So my presentation, I'm going to spend some time with you talking, and then I will turn it over to Linda, and then we'll both retake the stage and take any questions from the audience. And if you would please come up to the microphones on either aisle to ask your questions so we can make sure that everybody hears it as well as the recording captures it. So I'm here to talk to you about talent marketing and how you can create an authentic employment branding strategy. And as I mentioned, my name is Kim Jokisch, and I am the Director of Employment Branding and Media at Red Hat. So who is Red Hat? We are the #1 provider of open source solutions. And you might first think of us as a Linux company, which we are, and we also offer a full stack of solutions to the enterprise, so middleware, cloud, virtualization, and storage, and a corresponding set of support as well as services to go along with that stack. Over 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are actually our customers, so everybody from the New York Stock Exchange and the Tokyo Stock Exchange to Adobe and Salesforce, Sabre Holdings, and Marriott. And our culture is something that is very, very important to us. So we grew up out of the open source community. So transparency, collaboration, meritocracy, these are all things that are very important to us in our culture and things that you will see carry through our strategy. So what are we here to talk about today? Today we're going to give a quick overview of what a strategy is and why I suggest that you develop one for your own employment branding efforts. And then I'll spend time sharing 4 tips with you of things that we did at Red Hat and things I believe that may help you back at your own organization. And then we'll wrap up by talking about how Red Hat's employment brand helped us recruit top talent. So about a little under 4 years ago, our chief people officer and our head of talent acquisition approached me. And they asked me if I would come on board onto their team and start an employment branding effort. They recognized that we were growing very, very rapidly and that we really needed to start more aggressively marketing our recruitment effort and the opportunity to work at Red Hat. And so I said sure, and I took them up on this opportunity. And the first thing that happened is that recruiters and coordinators from around the world, they were so excited that we were adding this component to our talent acquisition organization, they came to me with all their ideas and all their suggestions and all the things that they wanted implemented right away. And I said, thank you for that, and what we're going to do instead is go off and create a strategy. So what is a strategy, and why have one? A strategy is really just defining what that future desired end state is that you're after, and very broadly looking at how you might go about getting there and talking about why it's desirable. And it's often paired with a strategic plan, which is that more detailed look at exactly how are you going to get there, right? What are the steps you're going to take? What are the initiatives you're going to launch in order to bring that strategy to life? So what a strategy is not is, a one-off campaign that helps you achieve your hiring needs. It's not a task list, and it's not doing something just because your vice president asked you to, right? What it is instead is very steeped in research, so it helps you make good choices. It helps you say yes to the right things and time it at the right time, and it also helps you say no to the things that perhaps you shouldn't be doing. So it helps you decide what to do and what not to do. So let's talk now for a few minutes about how to go about creating your own recruiting marketing strategy that will help you find top talent in the marketplace. So the first tip that I'd like to share with you is to do your research. And I would suggest that this is where you would want to spend a good portion of your time. And there's so much information out there that you can have at your disposal to help you do your research. And what you're looking to do is really collect a common fact base to help you understand what you're up against. So the first thing that we did is we did a lot of interviews. So we talked to executives, we talked to recruiters, we talked to coordinators, We interviewed hiring managers, we talked to longtime employees, and we also talked to people that just joined our organization to understand what their candidate experience was coming into the company. And we got from them really great ideas and good perceptions and opinions on what we should be doing. The other thing that we did is we looked at our corporate strategy. We also looked at our talent acquisition strategy, and we also looked at what our hiring plans were. This is great data for you because it allows you to align your efforts to the business, right? It helps you make that business case to show why you should be doing what you're doing around your employment branding and your talent marketing efforts. Also important to know your target audience. So what are the roles that you're most likely hiring and in what location? So it helps you target your efforts versus trying to be all things to all people. We also took some time to look at what was going on in the marketplace. So we looked at what our competitors were up to. Some of you might even be in the room. We looked to see what are you saying to candidates? What does your brand look like? What does it feel like? How many people are you hiring? Where are you hiring them, right? And so we took a long look at what our competitors were doing to understand what we were up against. And then another thing that you can do is look at your LinkedIn talent brand and your other social media followers to understand who's already engaging with you today and what's your opportunity for adding a broader reach for tomorrow. So all of this information, we took all of this information in, and what this allows you to do is really uncover what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what opportunities you have in the market, and what threats you might have from your competition. The other thing that we did is we took an inventory of the resources that we had. So who's going to do your recruitment marketing? Is it you? Is it you and a small team of people? Maybe you have partnered with your internal marketing team, or maybe you have a budget to hire an agency to help you achieve these efforts. All of these are great answers, and what you will want to do is really understand what your resources are that you have today, and then as you build out this strategy, scale that for what you want to achieve for the future. And again, if you think back to some of that data that you can pull from, having that strong business case will also help you make a case for adding more resources to achieve that plan. So at this point, what you have is a long list of ideas, of possibilities, of competitive benchmarking, right? And that's probably too much to do. And so what you want to do is take all those ideas and then come up with a prioritized list of actions. So figure out, what are we going to do? Why are we going to do it? What will this achieve and when? And then equally important, what are we not going to do? And then take all of that and communicate it back to the people that you interviewed, because they're probably wondering, hey, why aren't they doing my idea first, right? But what you have now is a well-researched and well-thought-out strategy and corresponding strategic plan that lays out the next 3 to 5 years for your stakeholders. Okay, so the second tip that I have is to be consistent. And this is something that I brought from my marketing and branding background, is the importance of consistency. As part of marketing, if you put out too many messages into the marketplace that are confusing to consumers, they won't know what to think about you, right? And the same follows for candidates. So if you're putting out too many disparate messages into the marketplace, they won't know what to think about you as an employer. So what we did is we actually took an inventory of what had already happened to date at Red Hat with our employment branding. And there had been a number of good one-off initiatives that had happened. So we had a great employer value proposition. We had a few social media sites that we had stood up. We had run a couple of campaigns. And looked at individually, they were on brand. So the logo was right, the colors were right, but they didn't hang together as one comprehensive story. And so that's what we aimed to change, right? What we did next was we created a foundation. We took some time to actually create a messaging index and a visual brand and identity. And even a sound. So we went so far as to create a music library that we could use for all of our videos that we put out externally. And so this was important. We spent some time up front, and it made it so much easier to execute all of the things that we wanted to do that followed. So, for example, when it came to relaunching our career site, we just went back to the messaging index, we looked at the visual identity, and we knew what we should look like and what we should sound like, right? When we launched our LinkedIn career pages, we could pull from that messaging index, and it was halfway written already. So it absolutely is a time investment up front, but what that time investment does for you is it ensures that you have that consistency as you continue to execute on your plan. And our messaging index is about 50 pages. So we talk about, how do we talk to engineers? How do we talk to salespeople? How do we talk about the opportunity of working at Red Hat? What is our EVP? So it's very comprehensive, and it becomes that one-stop shop that you can pull from when you're messaging to candidates. And you can see here, by way of example, these are a number of pieces of collateral. So some at events, some on social media, some digital, some paper that we use to talk about the opportunity of working at Red Hat. And you can see here visually and some of the words how this really hangs together as one cohesive brand to illustrate the importance of being consistent and sending out that consistent message to your candidates. Okay, so now that you've done your research and you have your solid foundation, the next thing for you to do is to really differentiate yourself as a company. So what makes you different from everyone else? And the ugly truth is you can't be the best at everything. Nobody wants to admit that, but you just can't. So in marketing, what we talk about are points of parity and points of differentiation. So as you're completing your strategy, you want to get clear on what are those handful of things that we really want to differentiate ourselves from our competition, and what are those things that we're okay having parity on with our competitors, that we're good at but maybe not the best at, right? And so, for example, you might decide that you really want to differentiate yourself on social media and have parity on your career site. Or you might decide the exact opposite. And all of that research that you've done up front will help inform you of those choices. And so at Red Hat, we believe the best way to differentiate yourself is to start with your story. And so we take a branding from the inside out approach. We believe that we employ some of the brightest minds in the technology industry, and so why wouldn't we have them tell our story for us, right? We don't need to hire models or we don't need to use clip art because we have great people that are really passionate about the work that they do every day that we can put out into the marketplace and have them tell our story for us. And this gives us some nice returns. So for those current associates that are telling that story, it really gives them a sense of engagement and a sense of feeling a part of the company. And for the candidates on the outside looking in, it gives them a true sense, a transparent view of what's really happening at Red Hat. And so here's some examples of how we bring that to life on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And so what we have found is being authentic and really telling our story and taking this branding from the inside out approach has helped differentiate us in the marketplace. And we've seen some good returns on our social media. So when we started out in FY11 to where we ended our fiscal year 14, and you can see that really big jump from FY13 to 14, and that was a result of some pretty small investments in advertising that really extended our reach from our direct followers to their followers, and it helped us pick up so many additional followers to our own talent brand. Okay, so now you've done your research, you've gotten consistent, and you've differentiated yourself. And so my fourth tip to share with you is to engage your ambassadors. We've already talked about some ways to do that by engaging them in social media, but the great opportunity that you have in front of you is to also think about your associate referral program. And so when we started our employment branding team back in 2011, we inherited a corporate goal. And that corporate goal was to increase our associate referral percentage. And so we just went into it with an assumption that, we paid a bonus, it was a generous bonus, and if we increased the bonus, we would get more referrals. But we went back to the first tip that we talked about is do your research. And so what we did was we actually interviewed the top referrers, and we asked them, why are you referring people into the company? And we didn't get the answer we expected. We thought they'd say the bonus, but in fact what they said is they want to work with great people. They want to work with inspiring people and smart people that challenge and motivate them when they come to work every day. They also told us that they wanted to be recognized, right? So to date, they got some more money in their paycheck, but nobody really knew that they were referring. And they also told us that they wanted swag. So for those of you that come from the technology industry in the audience, you know that people like to wear their company with pride. They like shirts and hats and, hoodies, you name it. They like to wear the company name on their clothes. And so they told us they wanted swag. So we took all of that information in, and we created a program that we wrapped around our associate referral program that we call the Red Hat Ambassadors. And we came up with this superhero theme, because who doesn't want to be thought of as a superhero? And these really were the superheroes that were helping grow our company very quickly with us. And so what we did is we modeled it almost like an airline loyalty program. So the more you fly, the more you get, right? With our program, the more you refer, the more you get. So yes, you get an increased bonus, but you also get more recognition, you get higher value swag, and we spotlight these ambassadors around the company. And we launched this with a very comprehensive communication campaign. So we started off by talking about it at our quarterly company meetings. We do a quarterly video that we put out, and we put it on every quarterly video. We put emails out about it, and we even talk about it at orientation. So on day 2 of every new hire at Red Hat's orientation, we talk to them about the ambassador program, and we ask them to think about who in their network would make a great Red Hatter, and think about it so we can bring them into the company as well. And we've had great results. So when we started, when we inherited this program, we were running below 30%, and we brought that up over 50% in about 18 months, and we've been sustaining that for the last couple of years, which is right in the range that we want to be in. So we're quite proud of our referral program. So what results did we achieve? Well, we've already talked about a few. So we've significantly increased our social media followers, which really helps tell our story to a much broader audience, which extends the reach of your talent brand. We've also increased our referral percentage. So those ambassadors have grown, and we've helped make our recruiting that much more effective. We also know that when people that do well at Red Hat bring in other Red Hatters, there's a great culture fit there, which is such an important part to growing our company. We've also been recognized by a number of publications as a great place to work. So on Glassdoor, Forbes, Bloomberg Businessweek, and Business Insider. We've also had above industry average returns on our LinkedIn Work With Us and targeted ad campaigns, and we were named among LinkedIn's top 25 most socially engaged companies. And we tie this back to that upfront work that we did with our strategy and our strategic plan, because we did the analysis and we set goals for each year that we wanted to achieve with the initiatives that we decided to implement. And I'm happy to say that we've managed to either meet or exceed those goals each year as a result of this focused effort. So in summary, just as a reminder, the 4 tips that we talked about, and I'd encourage you to think about what in here might you be able to take back to your own organizations. First is to do your research. Second is to be consistent. Third is to differentiate yourself. And then finally, to engage your ambassadors. So I'm going to turn the stage over to Linda in just a minute, but I'd first like to thank you for your time, and I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn, and hopefully we have a chance to talk with you throughout the rest of the conference. So what I've done here is set a big picture on how to create a strategy, and what Linda is going to do now is talk to you about content, which is such an important part of that strategy as you execute on it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Linda Descano, and let me find my presentation. And as Kim mentioned, what I've been asked to do is really share with you how we at Citibank are using content not only to build relationships with customers, but also to build our brand as an employer. My role at Citi, I'm a marketer. I'm probably the only person in the room that isn't in the talent field. And I run social media and content marketing for the Global Consumer Bank at Citi. But I work very closely with partners across the firm to really think more holistically and not just in a narrow point about consumers, but how do we reach a broad set of influencers, because very often the consumers we're looking to acquire as customers are the same types of people that we would like to attract as talent. So what I'll talk to you about is some of the ways we've been approaching content marketing, what we've learned by it, and how it's had an effect on our brand. But very quickly, a few words about Citi. We describe ourselves as the world's most global bank because we're serving over 260 million individuals, communities, corporations, and governments in more than 1,000 cities in 160 countries. We employ roughly 260,000 people, and my focus is all of the services we provide to individuals and small businesses, whether it's about cash management, so think checking and savings accounts, credit card products, mortgages, as well as lending solutions, particularly in the business environment. So let me start by just defining content. And what I mean by content are articles, blog posts, SlideShare presentations, social media, posts, tweets, sponsored updates on the LinkedIn page, as well as infographics and short and long-term videos. So why do we create content? For us, it's really about building trust and cultivating advocacy among key audiences, whether they're regulators, influencers, investors, current and prospective customers, as well as current and prospective employees. We use content as a vehicle to educate and inform those audiences as a way of positioning our products and services in a relevant way, as an opportunity to reinforce messages that we may be cascading in other types of channels, whether it's TV advertising or even key messages in our annual diversity report. And we also use it as a way of either sparking conversation or bringing our brand into conversations that are timely and topical and attracting the interest of the audiences we are trying to serve. So why do we focus on content? It's really simple. We're following the money and we're following the conversation. You may have heard your marketing colleagues talk about the marketing funnel. Historically, the way we would attract customers or attract talent is we would use advertising. We would push those messages and we would dominate the conversation. And yes, word of mouth was always important, but it was fairly limited to people that you may know directly through your family or maybe friends of families and neighbors. But technology has really changed the rules of the game. They've given each and every one of us a megaphone so we could participate and add our opinions and ideas into the conversation, but it also enables all of those opinions and stories to be aggregated and curated. As a result, what's really a reach of a brand today is not through advertising. It's what you and I are saying and sharing with each other that can either elevate the message of a brand if we agree with it and believe in it, or we can crowd out what that brand is saying if it has dissonance with our own experience. So today, in order to break through in this conversational marketplace, we can't think like advertisers. We have to think like architects. We have to think about what are the building blocks we need to engage in those conversations, to channel those conversations, to get our messages to break through. And content, we believe, is the key form of marketing currency that will enable a brand to do that. So what does this mean? It sounds so simple, but we have to really change and upend everything we believe in, everything that we've always done to be effective at advertising and traditional marketing. It means we have to be present where our key audiences are gathering, not wait for them to come to our website or read our blog, but go where they are and find areas on how do we engage with them in a voice and a tone that's relevant and consistent with how they're engaging on those forums or those blogs. It means we have to add value. People want a reason to engage with us. Are we making them smarter? Are we saving them money? Are we removing some friction in their life? Are we just, enabling them to be the know-it-all and to show off to their friends and their family? It means we have to engage as people and not treat people, as we say in the financial side, like portfolios, and not have them feel like they're engaging with this, corporate brand, but really that they're having a conversation with a person. So we have to adopt a tone that's very human, very genuine, that's not full of jargon. We have to think, not about our products and what we want to say, but rather, what is it that's top of mind for those audiences we want to reach? What are their needs? What are their concerns? What are their fears? And how can we help them move forward? And of course, you want to be in conversations that are aligned with your brand, but not just about your product. And it's a simple but significant difference in approach. And finally, you have to teach, not tell. No one wants to be spoken to in one way. We are in conversational media, so you need the capacity to talk back and engage and demonstrate that you are listening and responding to what people are saying about you or the questions that your conversations may raise. So how do we bring these principles to bear in what we do? Well, we have developed it's actually a 5-step approach to content, but the 5th step didn't begin with P, and I have this thing for alliteration, so it had to stay off the chart. So we have the 4 Ps that really it's an end-to-end process on how we plan, create, how we publish, and then promote, and finally measure content. This approach is probably the most evolved in the US, which has been our Petri dish, and now we're working to bring this type of approach to reality in other markets. And what helps it is that we have one dedicated team that really guides the end-to-end development of content, bringing in multiple stakeholders throughout the process. So let me walk you through each P. First is, how do we decide what we're going to talk about and when? We have 2 types of input. Really, it's about, from the customer side, what is it that's top of mind for our customers and key audiences, and we get that through our own research or by mining third-party research. We look at seasonal themes. Now we're heading into the holidays. Everyone's focused on holiday shopping. How do you get more for less? In July, it was about back-to-school shopping. In January, it'll be about financial resolutions. So we really think about the seasonality, and then, of course, we look at what's going on in the news, and are there opportunities for us to engage in those conversations and bring new insights and perspectives to help those audiences inform and make decisions about their life. And we look on the business side. What does our advertising calendar look like? Are there big products that we expect to roll out? Are there global themes that are important to us as a brand? And we focus a lot on progress and how our products and services enable the personal, professional, and financial progress of our customers. So that becomes one of the lenses. We have a global day of community service every June, and every March we celebrate International Women's Day. So we put all of this together that really, in balance, what we're hearing on the consumer side, what we're hearing on the business side, to create a calendar that guides us for the full year. And then, of course, because nothing stands still in life or the markets, we keep optimizing and adjusting based on what's going on in the world around us. We produce content, and that in and of itself is a multi-step process. But we create content using staff members, agency partners, and a network of subject matter experts and bloggers that really all work under the guidance of an editorial director who gives us our assignments and briefs us and tells us whether we're writing a blog, an article, or an infographic, what nuance the editor wants us to bring out, when it's due, and how we're really going to bring these topics to life. We align on a time frame. The editor ensures that we're all creating content with a consistent voice, and it's appropriate for the intended distribution channel, whether it's going to appear on LinkedIn, on Facebook, whether it's going to be distributed to a third-party website, or if it's going to appear in a customer email. And then, of course, because we're regulated, we have multiple levels of legal and compliance. I'm sure none of you have that, to get everything approved. That usually takes between 6 and 7 weeks to go through that full process. And then we turn to distribution. And we distribute the content we create through 3 channels: through Citi-owned and branded digital properties, be it websites or emails or microsites in our social media sites; through media partners, this is distribution we pay for; as well as editorial partners. These are partners like Huffington Post and Yahoo that we don't pay, but they see value in our content. It aligns with their audience, and so they distribute our content as a partner, part of their ecosystem. Let me show you this just to bring it to life a little bit more. So on our own channels, you'll find our content, again, on social media sites. On the lower right, we have a microsite that's really targeted to our customers in Miami. And on the left, you'll see a website, Women in Company, that I also run, which is an online financial resource for women. So we have multiple channels. Some are very audience-specific, geographic. Some are for a particular segment, and others may be around a passion point, like food or music, but we create content that really spans all of those. Editorially, when we do paid promotion, we've leveraged LinkedIn as a media partner to help us distribute some of our content around professional progress, so targeted to career and small business. On the left, we did a sponsorship with a group of bloggers around dining and entertainment, where we sponsored real estate on their blog, where we curated content around dining and entertainment tips to support our thank you card, and we paid for that space and to drive traffic to those particular blog sites. Just a different twist. And again, from an editorial partner, I blog for Yahoo Finance. It's officially sanctioned from Citi, where I bring some personal finance tips into the Yahoo Finance community, but much of our content around women and leadership has also been distributed through the Huffington Post, as well as through a variety of boutique blogs like Today's Mama. That gives us the ability just to keep extending our reach, and again, going where, our key audiences are going themselves to get news and information. But we don't stop at distribution. We go to the next step, and how do we actively promote? So yes, we're getting good reach from distribution, but we want to boost that reach. We want to really ignite and propel more conversation. And we do that through a number of ways. From a paid standpoint, you've all seen sponsored updates on LinkedIn, or sponsored or promoted tweets and posts on Twitter and Facebook. That is absolutely one of the tactics we use so that we can extend the reach beyond our fans and followers and really hit broader audiences that we think are aligned with this particular message. And we don't, though, just take a message and blast it on all social media channels. We really nuance the message, the copy, and the creative to say, is this appropriate for LinkedIn, or is it appropriate for Facebook that has more of a lifestyle feel? So we're very intentional in how we promote. And then we look for free ways to get promotion. We do that by partnering with bloggers and doing plain old PR tactics. We go out and pitch stories to the media, and they take our content, they share our content, and that, again, helps us get additional reach. We do Twitter chats and Google Plus Hangouts with influencers. It's been a great way to get them to help tell our story, particularly when we're bringing original research to bear. That has been a great spark, and our partnership with LinkedIn in particular has been a vehicle for creating a lot of social conversations, and that's really been a priority. So how do we measure success? Very similar to what Kim said, we look at things in a variety of ways. First of all, we look, how many people are we reaching? What's the reach? And beyond that, how much reach did we pay for versus how much did we earn? And my goal is always to have a high return on reach, meaning a lot more free than what I've had to pay for. And that's something that you evolve over time. It's great if you're reaching a lot of people, but are they engaging with your content? So we also look at our people liking it, are they commenting on it, are they sharing it, very importantly. And then finally, on some platforms, we're able to do quantitative brand effect studies and measure, is our content changing perceptions about our brand? Is it improving trust? Is it improving consideration? Is it improving satisfaction among those that are customers? And the answer has been absolutely yes, and we've seen those numbers improve in a meaningful way. But then we also started asking, but is this content changing perceptions of us as an employer? Do people want to, more likely want to work at Citi because of their exposure to our content? And that answer has been yes as well. Both among prospective employees, but it's also improved our brand perception among existing employees. So it's been a win-win all around. So last but not least, a couple of key takeaways. Focus on delivering value. It's not about what you want, it's about what you can enable in the audience that you want to reach. Secondly, don't plan in a silo. Really think strategically and connect the dots. Work with your marketing partners and your public affairs partners on what are those key themes and pillars as a brand and how they can help you bring that to life in the content that they might create or create for you. Third, speak in a human, authentic voice. Remember, people connect with people. That's why with my team, when we're creating content, it's under our individual bylines with our photo. We even tell personal stories about our career and financial successes and failures to create vulnerability, but to create that opportunity to connect with other people as people. Teach rather than tell. Invite dialogue, but also come back and say, we heard you, and bring forth content that really reflects the feedback that you've had. Drive relationships. Don't think about selling. If you can build a relationship, people will want to buy from you, and people will want to come work at your company. Sixth, contribute to conversations. Don't crowd out other voices. There will always be other voices, sometimes your competitors. Find a way to engage, and bring them into it, because you will be thought of more highly and more credibly if you bring in other voices rather than just trying to dominate the conversation and pretend that no one else exists. And last but not least, mind your audience's mindset. If someone is on LinkedIn, they're wearing their professional hat, treat them with professional courtesy. If they're on Facebook and they're thinking about their friends and the family and what concert they're going to or what are they having for dinner, talk to them with that right mindset. If they're on Baby Center, they may be thinking about their children's health, but they're on Working Mother, they're going to be thinking about themselves in a career hat. So really think about the environment that you're trying to reach people in and make your message as relevant as possible so it gets through. And again, thank you so much for inviting me here today. And I think now we're going to open it up to questions. So if you have any questions, please go to the mic in either aisle. I'm going the wrong way.
Hi. Is this on? Hi, I'm Linda. I have a question for both of you. So I work in a very small company. We're not yet profitable. So a lot of the things that you're talking about, Citibank and Red Hat, both of you are, public companies and, profitable. So my question has to do with budget. What kind of budget have you been able to determine in terms of cost per hire? Like how much money have you put in for the number of hires that you're able to hire in the company?
Sure, I can start with that. So I would say that you can do so much with a little budget, and as you become profitable and as you grow and as you show your value, that builds your business case for more budget. So particularly on social media, there's a number of things that you can do at little to no cost. Engaging your associates, you can do that with little to no cost. Being authentic to your brand and your voice, you can do with little to no cost. So I would start there and then think about building out your business case. I don't actually have a number to share with you on cost per hire that I can offer, but I would encourage you to think about there's definite ways of what we've both talked about that you can implement with the smaller budget that you're working with.
And you might also want to really find some career influencers that are working or speak to the issues that are important to your brand. And even if you have a strategy of commenting on what they say or sharing content that you might create with them, they may start and become advocates and help you extend your reach.
Hi, my name is Dan Pinkowski. I have a question for either of you. Kim, when you were speaking, you were talking about writing your strategy and coming up with a strategy for the first time. Kind of a chicken and egg scenario. Did you write your strategy based on the resources you had available to you at the time, or did you write the strategy you wanted to implement and then fill in the resources around it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we took it year by year, and year one was what we had available to us because, we had to be realistic. But we built each year with an ask for more budget and more people, assuming we achieved the goals from the year prior. And so we were able to make that case to show this is what you got in return, and if you want to get these additional things, we need to make this investment. And so we've scaled it. So by way of example, we started the group with 3 of us, and we're now at 10 in 3.5 years. And that resource followed the results. Great question.
And I think for us, we did a year of testing of very tactical campaigns just to get lessons around how to use different platforms, what was consumers' appetite for engaging with us on different topics, and based on that data, we then built a strategic plan. So it was part of our discovery phase. But in this environment, in this market, I think you're always adapting and have to be very nimble.
Hi. Really great information. I think this is my favorite presentation that I've been to. You're doing so many great things, and I would guess that you have pretty strong talent communities built. Are you all marketing directly to candidates for specific jobs, and how are you managing those? Is it through a CRM or through ATS?
Sure. Thank you for your feedback. We appreciate it. And yes, we are. So we have, through our ATS, and CRM, we've captured a talent community. So you have the ability to sign up with us. And then we put out information to those communities, depending on the community that they're in. And so we do that through the ATS and CRM, but then we also do targeted campaigns and targeted ads on social media. So on LinkedIn, on Facebook, are the 2 areas where we've done that as well.
Great.
And honestly, I don't know any of the acronyms, not working in the talent side. I will say this, wherever I go, I'm always bombarded with in-mails and emails of so many people interested in what we're doing in the social media and content space. So just by virtue of us being present and sharing our story, that makes it very easy when I have to recruit for talent, because I always have this extensive registry of people who are either following us or sending us their information, and it's been great from that perspective. I don't think we have formal communities the way Red Hat does.
Great information. Thank you.
Thanks.